Noah, launch the podcast.
Okay, here we go. It's the Formula One Pirelli Grand Prix Premio España 2022. Get your paellas ready. We're racing. Pull start. We have to address something first.
What's that?
Paul has to be on the naughty step because he wasn't recording and Cody caught it in the nick of time. So Paul, go get on the naughty step. You're doing the podcast from there. Oh, that's good, Foley. Okay, thank you. Take it away, Cody.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the F1 Side Pod, where we're cool boys who talk about fast cars. I'm Cody.
I'm Noah.
And I'm Paul.
So the Spanish Grand Prix, probably one of the best races of the year. We'll go ahead and go through positions.
So much fun.
We've got Verstappen P1, Perez P2, Russell P3, Sainz P4, Hamilton P5. So a lot we all got wrong in our predictions, as always.
Oh, yeah.
But
most interestingly, out of the top five is the fact that Leclerc's not in it. Like, he had, I know it's a little bit later in the race, but that it happened. But he had power loss that pulled him out of the race. Was super strong beforehand. Definitely, I think, was his race. And car messes up, he's out. That happened to Red Bull before. So, what are you going to do? It's happened to nearly everybody this year, at least once. So,
and it seems like everybody, it's I guess normal for a race, but everybody in the top five had their own struggles in one way or another. Verstappen, his DRS was broken, off and on most of the race. I guess Perez had the least struggle.
Nothing.
But, he did the teammate move and moved out of Verstappen's way, even though he's probably going to pass him anyways.
Perez has just been amazing this season.
Yeah.
I mean, he was showing it at the end of last season, like how he can be a good teammate, but he's really
good teammate and super strong
and
driver.
good driver. Yeah.
Yeah. Russell had to defend Red Bulls all day long, which obviously he didn't finish the job because they were 1 and 2, but he did a hell of a job while he was doing it.
That's kind of the problem when you're defending really strong at lap like 22 is that you're at lap 22 and you got 44 laps to go.
Yeah.
So it's super awesome to see, but defending like that early, it's not a good sign for you. But he had a super great race.
Yeah. Sainz got blown off the track by the same winds that got Verstappen kind of early on, and that pushed him back really far. And then Hamilton had that come together with Magnussen.
What was that? That was like first lap, wasn't it?
It was pretty early.
Yeah, so first lap, Kevin Magnussen and Hamilton made contact. Hamilton almost threw in the towel there. He got on the radio and said, just save the engine, and then they had to kind of
there we go.
Oh,
there
yeah.
he is.
They had to talk him back into the race, basically. Said P8's better than saving the engine. But it's so
I honestly just cannot believe that was even that he actually said that. So it's like, well, I'm at the bottom. Let's just call it a day and save the engine.
I think that was the most defeatist energy.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing to hear.
It's bananas, and I think that for someone who's if you're like a fan of Lewis Hamilton and stuff, then that's got to be bad. That's got to be kind of disheartening to hear that, just to throw in the towel like that at lap 1. There's 66 laps left of this race.
And look what he did with it by the team not letting him retire the car. They're like, no, let's keep going.
He's even had situations like that earlier in the season.
Well, even last year with Brazil.
And made up tons of ground.
He started P20, had a sprint race, got up to P10, and ended up P1.
I think it just kind of is indicative of his headspace right now, but
he's not in a good spot.
Yeah. Maybe this race kind of does a lot for him in that regard, but what a bummer and what kind of a
defeatist attitude
for the first lap.
Yeah, but came back, and I think it shows that Mercedes upgrades that they brought are doing a lot for him. I mean, Russell's been up there. He hasn't finished below P5 all year, but the fact that, Hamilton probably would have been P6 if Leclerc wouldn't have gone out.
And they just upgraded their car. So to me, it's don't you want I would think you'd want to be out on the track trying it, even if you knew you weren't competitive, in a winning position for that race. Just at least getting the handle on the new car with all your upgrades and stuff, like that just seemed like a real bummer. But he still finished really strong. So
yeah,
poor
K-Mag though.
Yeah,
like he did.
Yeah, and I think
that got him.
Yeah, where K-Mag finished, maybe he had more damage because he did go into the rocks, and the contact was probably a little harsher on his side. But the fact that he finished one below last after all the DNFs, and Hamilton ended up P5, I think it shows not only the difference in the cars, but the difference in the drivers. Once Hamilton decided not to give up.
Right.
But yeah, it is a bummer. Yeah, there you go. There's Gunther. Sorry, not Gunter.
Yeah, that's a Haas team,
American.
Gunter.
Yeah. It's rough because Haas. We'll talk about it real quick. As Haas didn't bring any upgrades, while everybody else brought, for the most part, a ton of upgrades to this race to their cars. Haas didn't bring any. They're 2 months away from bringing a big package of upgrades.
Yeah, what are they saying? Like the
French Grand Prix, which is late July.
One of my favorite tracks.
I don't love it as much, but
I like it on the game. I'm
excited for any race.
That's my favorite track to race in the game.
But but they're not expecting it to be all that bad. And honestly, if you look at qualifying, Nick made it into Q3 for the first time ever in his career, and Magnussen's right there, finished P8 in qualifying. So it doesn't really look like they're hurting. It's just they kind of got unlucky, and I think they struggle with strategy sometimes.
I think and I think it's kind of indicative of their they seem to think right now, especially they seem to think kind of long term on stuff. I mean, they kind of got out ahead of a lot of people this season by focusing on the new changes coming this season way before a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
And then they seem to be looking ahead 2 months down the road. We've got a huge package of upgrades coming in, but we're going to deal with what we've got so far. And I think that I think that's fine. I love watching them this year. I think both drivers are strong. I think not a good week for them at all, but still, I think they're going to have a good season by the end of it. I think it's still just race 6, still very early. But they've got a lot of ground to cover.
Well, who it turned out to be a good weekend for, and it didn't always look like this, is Max Verstappen. So he was behind Russell for a while. There we go, Dutch.
Again, in a partridge in a pear tree.
All the enthusiasm I can muster.
Yeah, just about.
It was funny the first week it happened. Now it's just...
Yeah, now everybody hates it.
Now it's just lame.
Yeah. But his DRS flap, I don't know what the issue was. I don't know that they fully know what the issue was.
I did see
was just not opening all the time.
Well, and I noticed during the race, because they said it over the comms, was hit it after you curb the car, because I noticed they were all kind of just how the racing line was the DRS line was as they were hitting the curb. So I don't know if it was some electrical issue or something that the curb was jostling it when they were trying to push the DRS button.
So they had a problem with the actuator on his DRS control, whatever that is. They had a problem. Yeah. They were having a problem with that during qualifying and replaced it. And I'm guessing it's just that part in general that they're having an issue with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that.
But I think that, it sucks. You could tell he was struggling trying to get out from behind Russell without using DRS, which I think shows why it's so important to have DRS. But they essentially had to morph their strategy. Where Haas struggles with strategy, Red Bull's pretty good at it, and they had to morph their strategy around the fact that Verstappen may or may not have DRS. So they pitted him before Russell,
right,
and put him on softs to try to undercut, so to make up the ground, on softs going faster than Russell, so that when he pits, he would be ahead of him on the way out. And it worked like a charm.
Yep.
Yeah. Basically just trying to give him enough speed and distance that whenever, Russell pitted, he could get out ahead.
Yeah, and I think by the time Russell pitted, Verstappen had already caught up all the time he lost. Mm-hmm. So he was right behind him when he went into the pits. And so that's,
it was a good undercut for sure.
That puts you so far ahead. And then... he was catching up to Perez anyways, but Perez also did the teammate move and moved out of his way. Good guy.
Oh, good guy.
That's basically their undercut strategy. Is very old school, pre-DRS racing, how to get out in front of someone who's been defending you so hard all day. So that was really cool to see, and he's the driver to pull it off. So that was very exciting.
And then Hamilton, we talked about his come up, but he was, he was there to have P4, but apparently Mercedes didn't put enough gas in the car.
Like a bunch of wankers.
Right. They ran lower fuel on the car this race, which basically put them in the position where, I don't think they expected to be pushing as hard as they were, and they ended up at the very end of the race. They were having to pull their drivers back. You saw George Russell, who ended up in third place. He was losing a lot of time and a lot of ground, even though he had a ton of distance between him and Carlos Sainz. He was losing a lot of ground on him because he had to keep a liter of fuel for testing after the race, and they were starting to get dangerously close to that. Lewis Hamilton at the time was fighting off Carlos Sainz and did not have enough fuel to even do
conserving fuel.
Yeah, basically had to just let him pass because they'd just run out of fuel. Just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So,
which is nuts.
But that aside, and that
I would like to say from what I saw, not one set of headsets was injured in that event.
Good. We like to hear that.
He did see a real mean.
I mean, he looked like he wanted to murder some headsets,
Mercedes team lead,
but did not happen.
He wanted to hurt his headset, but
he must have been getting some counseling.
They had his hands. They had his hands tied under the desk.
Yeah.
That's why he had such a serious face. He's sitting there trying to pick the lock of the handcuff,
so he could get out of it.
Get his hands on some of those headsets.
If I could just grab my headset right now, I'll fix this problem immediately. Yeah.
Well, somebody else who scored points, who I thought would potentially do better this week, but had some extenuating circumstances. Lando Norris had a pretty good race. They had said all race that he had hay fever, and it has basically just come out that he was diagnosed with tonsillitis after
which
this
is
race.
not hay fever.
Well, but I don't know that it's exclusive. He may have had tonsillitis and hay fever. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like hell, to be driving in a super hot car for 2 hours while you've got tonsillitis and hay fever and trying to focus.
I'm not an expert on this, but my thought had always been that when you have tonsillitis, all you're capable of doing is laying on the couch and eating ice cream.
See, I was going to say that too, eating ice cream.
So to do anything that's off the couch and not eating ice cream is very impressive. And he raced a dang Formula One race where he ended up in 8th place. So that's pretty cool.
Good job. All the applause to Lando Norris for that. Probably not the spot that McLaren originally wanted, but hell of a race for somebody who should be on the couch eating ice cream.
Right.
and probably playing his F1 sim.
Yeah.
I watch him on his iRacing.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while, he's funny.
One other headline that came out. George Russell said, "This is the start of our season."
I think that's not unfair.
It's scary.
You're a few races late there, old Georgie boy.
Yeah, I don't know if they can catch up, but if they can, it makes it scary. But at least it makes the races more interesting because it's a 3-team race at the top.
As far as points go, they 100% can catch up. As far as where the teams stand, as far as how strong they are
in front of them, you mean?
Yeah, how strong their cars in front of them. That's gonna be a huge mountain to climb. But as far as just in terms of points, they definitely can make up the points by the end of the season.
Well, I don't think they can if these guys.
How many races total are there?
I know, but I'm just saying, if Ferrari and Red Bull keep up their pace, I don't think Mercedes.
Well, that's what he's saying.
My point. Basically, as far as points go, plenty of room.
Oh yeah,
100%. To catch up. As far as how far ahead the other teams are from them, that's
I think what you're saying.
I'm sorry. I was hearing. I wasn't listening as you were talking.
We'll
talk about that. I was thinking what I wanted to say next, which is that's healthy. That's healthy.
Yeah. I think what you're trying to say basically is the other teams aren't just stopping development to let them catch up.
Right.
So,
but they made a huge jump. Yeah. They made a huge jump in competitiveness.
But I mean, this was I think their big set of upgrades. So I mean, their biggest set of upgrades put them. I mean, if Leclerc would have finished as still the 3rd fastest car, probably. Mm-hmm. So it's I think, and I said it during the race, the biggest boon that Mercedes has had is both of their cars have finished every race. And so they're getting more points, well, I don't know exactly. I haven't looked at the numbers, but they're averaging probably more points because both cars are finishing.
But they're not
finishing
behind.
as high.
Right.
So it's kind of the give and take and both sides of it. But still, I mean, anything can happen, and at least it makes it more interesting at the top.
In constructors, they're still in third with 120, and then we got Ferrari in second with 169, and Red Bull in first with 195. I think this is the current standings.
Sounds like it. Yeah,
Spanish. So yeah,
it is.
So they're still in third place on constructors. So they're
but it's a pretty far third.
Yeah.
But they have performed really strong as a team.
George Russell has performed very strong.
Yes.
That's a fair point to make, and I'll allow it. All right.
Yeah.
So who's our
Mercedes number one driver?
So normally we do a driver of the day
or weekend warrior.
I'd say we do start the weekend warrior thing.
Today we're starting a new thing. Paul, tell us all about it. If it's a hard concept to wrap your head around, so just tell everybody is weekend warrior is our new thing. Yeah. Other than not driver of the day, weekend warrior.
It's not a real hard concept. It's just which driver you thought did really well over the weekend. Not so much the practice, it's just like through qualifying and race.
If it's 3 days.
If it's a sprint weekend, I mean, let's include the qualifying, sprint, and race. I don't expect us to catch all three practices.
We're just saying who had the best weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I think I can wrap.
Lando Norris. He got sick.
Right. I think I can wrap my head around this concept and give you an idea of what I think for a weekend warrior.
All right.
Let's try it. Let's take the training wheels and leave them on. Just try it.
What's the intro to Weekend Warrior going to sound like?
A warrior. Freedom! That sounds like a warrior.
Yep.
So I think that can be it.
Okay.
All right, Paul, since this is your idea, your crazy harebrained scheme, who's your weekend warrior?
Schumacher.
Interesting.
And it's more for his getting into Q3 and qualifying. He did really well in qualifying. And I mean, he didn't get into the points. But I'm saying Weekend Warrior because this is a first for him. It's his second season, and he's never made it to Q3 in qualifying. That's why I'm going for him as Weekend Warrior.
Mm-hmm. So, I see that. And if he would have scored points,
I
probably would have been right with you.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I've got to give it to George Russell. He outqualified Perez in qualifying, a car faster than them, and he defended like a monster that entire race. He kind of got out-strategied and honestly didn't have enough fuel in his car. That's not his fault. Finished on the podium, and I was impressed by his racing. I mean, he held off Verstappen and Perez for long periods of time, really. I mean, Perez finally got around him, and Verstappen didn't have DRS, but I think he just did a good job maneuvering himself, and P4 to P3, good qualifying and good race.
So Weekend Warriors so trying to think of like the whole weekend, it's tricky because I think that it makes me lean towards completely different drivers.
Oh, you thinking Lewis Hamilton? No.
No. But it's definitely making me gravitate towards different picks here. But I think I was kind of leaning the same way Cody is. I think George Russell, like he had a super great qualifying, showing off how Mercedes' car, or new car upgrades perform, and he had a really good race.
I'll take that. I'll agree with that. George Russell is our weekend warrior
because they have to have like a good weekend. They can't just have good qualifying, good practice, or a good race.
I know I just really thought it was cool that Schumacher got that.
I think
first
Schumacher
Q3, but you're right. It should be the whole weekend, not just that one moment.
Right.
Maybe we'll talk about him a little bit later.
Schumacher
Wink.
had a great Saturday. He did not have a great Sunday.
Right.
But he had
Yeah.
a great Saturday.
Yes.
So
All right. So the first or second, depending on if last week counted, weekend warrior is George Russell of Mercedes.
Congratulations, George.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Hey,
George.
congratulations,
Georgie
guy.
boy.
Okay, this is our new, when we award it, we're just going to say, congratulations, guy. All right. I love it.
Okay.
Let's go to break.
All right.
All right, so once again, we don't have any sponsors, and I know we were really thinking this time was going to be the time. I was sitting by
it's
the
episode 8.
By the way, our emails are open if you have
Is
anything
it
you want to
episode
sponsor.
8?
It's
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, my email's wide open, and I'm sitting in front of it 24 hours a day, and I'm sitting by the phone looking at it and waiting patiently. And I really thought this week was going to be the call, but we don't have any ads this week, other than our weekly segment, which is our super targeted ad break.
Right.
So, we have a lead this week, and that is going to be
I found a lead. I work with this guy. His name's
Okay.
Ben Branscombe.
Ben Branscombe.
He really likes the racing. He actually races quite often.
Wow.
He's done a few big races. And
Real quick, what's his home address? Can you just put that out on the
Okay, yeah,
internet?
just say it out loud. One,
Social?
two,
Do you have a
three,
social?
go.
What? I just said he's.
I'm just asking.
I don't want to
does
blast
ask,
him.
right?
Yeah, Cody just asked. Tell us off air, and then we'll send him.
Oh, and
Yeah.
then we'll send him a care package.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Ben
maybe I'll sign up for
Ben-
a couple credit cards.
Ben Branscombe.
Yeah.
Now is that Branscombe like COMB? Because that's how I spelled it on the rundown.
Branscombe CUM. Like,
Okay. Well, I
know.
spelled it wrong. Gross. Don't say that. Gross. So I spelled it wrong on the rundown, but that's good. We're just gonna have to deal with that. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Everybody's
anything
gonna
about
see
this cat.
Especially not to spell his name.
Right.
Sorry, Ben.
Even his
Right.
name spelling it, I had no idea. I put 2 N's in Ben, so we're not even close. What do we know?
N's in
Yeah.
Ben?
And also
What
a
do we-
W.
what
What an
And a
idiot.
W in Ben.
What is
Yeah.
wrong
Where
with
is
your
it? Who
brain?
knows?
Win.
When
When Blanscombe.
Win Blanscombe. All right.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, Cody. All right. What do we know about this cat?
Okay, well, I just told you he's into racing. He's an iRacer.
Yep.
But
Is iRacing just racing online?
yeah,
No, you just look at things.
Fast?
Yeah, you just look at things really fast.
You look
It's
from one
iRacing.
spot in the room to another spot in the room as fast as you
yeah,
can.
Yeah.
and
They
whoever
time
can
it.
look the fastest at the thing,
That's actually pretty
that's
cool.
who wins.
Yes,
Okay.
iRacing. Anyways, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, but I do have a hot tip. He brings his own keyboard to work,
Brings
Like
his
a
own
pro.
keyboard to
and
work.
it's RGB backlit.
RGB keyboard, so you
so
know
it's
he's a gamer.
You know he's a gamer. It's obviously a super fast keyboard because it has all those lights on it.
Is it mechanical? Does it make the satisfying
it
clicking?
clickies. Yeah,
Okay.
it's nice high keys, but
He's just showing off with that
Yeah.
bad boy.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just got to make sure everyone knows he's got the goods with a badass keyboard like that.
oh yeah, it's nice, but it's old. I've noticed it's old.
THX.
Every time I have to go and clickety clack on those keys, I notice the letters are worn off. And me being an old fart, I'm used to typewriters. Well, so I need to look sometimes down at what I'm
You know what?
typing.
Here's
I'm
a-
not a big home keys person. So when I look down at his keyboard when I'm helping him on his computer, those keys are worn off because he's just typing so fast on that.
Paul too dumb to
I
remember.
just
And
had
I'm
a-
too dumb to remember because my old man brain. And so I'm like, crap, where's that letter? So I think,
I just had a
cool.
brain blast. What's
Okay.
up? Say what you want to say, but then I just had a.
well, I
big
was just
brain
going to say,
blast.
cool,
He needs a
he needs
keyboard.
a new keyboard.
Even better.
Okay.
Y'all are gonna freak. Y'all are gonna freak out when you hear this idea. You said the keys are worn out.
Yeah.
Which keys are they?
I don't know
We can
because
figure out what. Hold on.
I don't know what
No, no,
keys
no,
they
no,
are,
no, no.
Noah, because they're worn off. The letters are worn.
Well, if you paid any more attention, you could have figured out what keys are worn off, and you could figure out if he's going to like.
How are you going to tell which ones they are if the letters were worn off on it?
Process of elimination.
You hold a keyboard above it and make comparisons to it.
Oh,
yeah.
But you could have told us, like, if the B, U, I, L, and D keys are worn off, we're going to send that motherfucker to Build-A-Bear Workshop.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, if you just knew the keys, if you just knew what keys were worn off,
that's what
we'd
he's
know what
most
he's using.
interested.
We're basically getting his metadata at that point.
Oh.
If
Yeah.
you'd remembered the keys, we'd have his metadata right now in our hands.
Are we thinking it is Build-A-Bear Workshop?
I think it might be.
You think it may
Ben-
have been the B key?
I know. I'm pretty
He's
sure
going to
it's a
Build-A-Bear?
B.
And if it was worn out really hard, he's typing it first, so it's Build-A-Bear. And Build-A-Bear has 2 B's in it.
I almost
True.
said Bend-A-Bear, but that sounds
Build-A-Bear.
bad.
All right. Build-A-Bear Workshop. What does he like hobby-wise? Maybe the Build-A-Bear has a keyboard.
Or it likes driving.
Or driving. Yeah.
iRacing. It's an iRacing
A
Build-A-Bear.
Build-A-Bear wearing like a Formula 1 helmet.
Ooh,
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know who his favorite driver is though.
Well,
Who cares?
make
He can
like
build it his own way.
No,
Oh,
make
that's
it
true.
like a white
Like
helmet.
a gift card to Build-A-Bear.
No, I'd say make
So
a
he can
white
make-
helmet with a white suit, and he can just paint on whatever he wants.
Yeah, like how
Oh,
Build-A-Bear
yeah.
works.
I don't want to send him over there with no suit, because if you go with just here's a gift card, he might build like a dragon bear, and that's not really a gift. That's just he got to do his own thing. I
Yeah.
want to sit
But what
kind
if he's
of
interested in dragons? Then-
wait. We're not even giving him a gift.
Yeah, we're sending him to Build-A-Bear Workshop.
We're just trying to get him to go to Build-A-Bear.
Noah forgot how ads
I
work.
forgot how the ad works. Okay.
We don't give him a present.
Okay. I think we're fine then. Build-A-Bear.
All right.
We're not.
They've got all your favorite things like racing gear and keyboards at
Yeah.
Build-A-Bear. You can make whatever kind of bear you want. It can be a gamer or a racer or a dragon.
Yeah.
It just go to Build-A-Bear.
Yeah. Hey kids, do you like Build-A-Bear Workshop? Well, what if you're an adult who likes to build their own bear?
Build-A-Bear After Dark.
Build-A-Bear After Dark, a real ad I saw, and I don't understand what it means. Please tell me, Build-A-Bear, send us an email.
All right.
I don't get it.
All right, Ben, go to Build-A-Bear Workshop. Use our offer code. Paul will tell you privately
Yeah, he'll whisper
what
it in
the
your
code
ear.
is, because we do have one,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yes.
We can't say it because it's just for him.
Right. It's exclusive for our targeted ad person.
Yeah.
to
So
have.
we'll tell him
Yeah.
to the side what it is, and he'll go there and buy that. And then next week at Formula One, F1 Sidepod, sponsored by Build-A-Bear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
coming. I'll be
And
by
if-
the phones waiting.
And if Build-A-Bear or anybody else actually does want to sponsor us, f1sidepod@gmail.com.
I'm going to be right by the phone if you want to call our number too.
Yeah, and please tell me what Build-A-Bear After Dark means. I'm so curious what it means.
All right, let's
All
get
right,
back.
All right, welcome back. That was a solid break. We're gonna make so much money off of that.
I can I'm making room in my wallet now for the money.
Good, good. So, looking ahead to next week, 2 weekends in a row. Love it. We got Monaco, the Kentucky Derby of F1, as I've described it to people.
That's a good fair point.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Nice. Thank
That's
you for
Monaco
doing that.
national anthem.
We need this. This
Yes.
basically gives people like it's kind of like the overture in
Yeah.
old movies.
It also
This sets
kinda
the
sounds like a
tone for
parade.
the film. So oh, that's the bad guys' music. That's the good guys' music.
Well,
So-
we're gonna have
Yeah.
a worldwide audience. I mean, it's nice to have
Yeah.
the track's
Be
national
inclusive.
anthem going. You know.
Yeah.
okay.
So
I like it. It's
Monaco
got layers.
has 19 turns, 2 DRS zones, and is known for being extremely difficult to pass in. And so I'm
Oh my
hoping
God.
that
Super
it's
tight.
better this
I-
year.
Super
I
tight
hate
lanes.
this track so much when I'm playing F1 2021.
So what I'll say about
Free
Monaco for me, and I think that it's probably generally the same for everyone, is that I get excited about the idea of Monaco.
Yes.
Is
And-
it because you can actually bring your yacht to the track?
Right.
Yeah, it's
I
not
think
just
it
parked on concrete.
I think it's a very iconic race, and it's very like it's a long running race, and I it's got a lot of history to it, but it's so boring. It's kind of like what did they
However
call
you
it?
qualify, that's what you're probably going to
For the
finish
most
unless
part.
you have a wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be what you see at qualifying is gonna be close to what you see on the track, but it's nice to watch. I love watching it still, even though it is just
Well, I think where it
bores you
gets,
to
I think
tears.
where it gets you is the fact that it is so tight, not necessarily for passing, but one little mistake,
Oh my gosh.
your car can be
Every
destroyed.
time I
Yeah.
play the game, I make a minute thing, and I'm pausing and restarting the race.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
just all destroyed.
It's a high stress race.
Yes.
I think for
less
drivers.
less for passing and more for just general making mistakes.
I think
Less for passing and more just like, can I get through all these laps without crashing my car?
Yeah.
I think that like basically
getting a penalty.
what you're likely to see next week
Is Latifi taking out the top contender?
Right, of course. What you're likely to see next week is these teams that are super strong on qualifying, but kind of lose ground during the race are probably going to have a stronger race than usual because it is so hard to pass. The lanes are super narrow. It's really tight in there. Like it's just a really hard race for a driver.
That hairpin right there in the middle is freaking crazy.
Yeah.
They expect those long ass cars to make that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a super aggressive track. It's, it'll be a mostly boring race, but these teams
Hopefully
that
it's getting
qualify
better.
strong are probably gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't you read something about this track? Like,
Yeah. So
they're not going to get grandfathered in anymore.
yeah.
or
So
something?
essentially, from the way I understood it, and if I'm wrong, tweet at us F1 side pod. But
or
basically,
call Noah. He's
Yeah, or
waiting
call-
us.
I'm right
call
next
Noah.
to the phone.
But basically, they used to be grandfathered in to where they didn't have to pay the track fees that these newer places are having to pay. But they're kind of undoing that, and they're just any other track now. They're not getting the the history that does go with them, just kind of given to them anymore and given special treatment. So there's that, and then there's also the kind of threats of like, hey, you're not producing good racing because nobody can pass.
Right.
Make some changes so that we can keep you on the calendar and continue to, get that history while we're there. But also, we don't have a fucking snooze house race.
Make a good street track like Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
I
Have
love
better
that track.
streets.
Yeah, just
Have better streets.
Yeah, why do your streets suck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they got small cars over there.
Yeah, they're all Ferraris. But and half of the grid lives there.
Right. Yeah, they're just gonna wake up the morning quality and just like roll down the street to the racetrack.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully they. I mean, not this year. There's not really any changes, but hopefully it's coming and they can make the racing a little bit better. But
Yeah, it's one of those.
It's more
like it's almost like a bittersweet thing too, though. It's like you like the historic track layout. I'm surprised there's not a ton of backlash on that, honestly, like that they're wanting them to change that. But two, it's like you do want that track to be more exciting.
Yeah,
than
you
it
want
is.
it. You still want it to be fun to watch,
Right.
You
'Cause
know?
I like I said, I like what Noah said. I like the Monaco like feel and like the history by it. But honestly, as a viewer, I hate watching this race.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's how most people feel, and that's why there's not as much of a backlash around it. Is because most people feel that way. They're like, yeah, I'm tired of watching this boring race where it's essentially just watch qualifying, and then
that's gonna be
and then pick a couple drivers to change positions and say that somebody's going to crash. But off of that, how do we think this is gonna go down?
oh.
Any predicciones? Who wants? Should I go first? I'll lead it off. I feel like I never lead it off, and I always end up then feeling bad about my picks. So I'm gonna say home race. Leclerc comes back and wins this baby because it's always good. It's always heartwarming to win a home race, being a monogassed driver and everything. I'm gonna say Verstappen P2. Especially if they can't get that DRS thing figured out. Not that that really matters. He's not going to be passing anybody anyways. I'm going to go Sergio Perez P3. I'm going to go George Russell P4. And I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton P5. I'm going to say Carlos Sainz slips up. Paul's throwing up over here. I'm saying Carlos Sainz slips. I feel like Carlos has been pushing, like Leclerc did last year, honestly, and it happened at Monaco. He's pushing so hard to catch up with his teammate and to catch up with everybody else that he'll end up having one of those slips. Or maybe he's leading the race and Latifi just comes and takes him out, returning to his blue shell.
Yeah, maybe he'll be like lapping Latifi in.
Yeah, and Latifi just dive bombs into the side of him. Who knows? But so those are my predictions.
So what are they again?
It's Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, Russell, Hamilton.
Okay. I've got mine. You ready?
I'm ready.
So
Give it to me.
I'm going to base this off what I said about like qualifying results. And basically what I'm going to do, so other than one driver, there's one driver who I think has made quite a few errors this time, and I think that Monaco can be a little less forgiving about errors. So Carlos Sainz has had several like runoffs and things this season that
oopsie daisies
have kind of cost him oopsie daisies
or poopsies.
So what I was gonna say originally is a little too boring, so I'm gonna use that to kind of switch it up. But I say Charles Leclerc, number 1, Max Verstappen, number 2. Then I say George Russell, P3, Sergio Perez, P4.
Whoa.
And Lewis Hamilton. No, Carlos Sainz, P5.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've got the top drivers on the top 3 teams, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell.
But I think that
Right.
I basically what I'm basing this off of is what I basically looked at qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix because the tracks I think are like, other than being like way tighter in a street race, I think the tracks are similar in build.
Paul's grunt says no.
I know there's like a lot of elevation change though in Monaco. So I think that actually is the big, it's not just about shape. So
White.
Yeah.
Twite.
I know about the I know that is way different.
Yeah.
But
And narrow.
Like,
Narrow, tight corners. Ugh.
far as like DRS zones and number of turns and stuff, they're similar in that. But there are a lot of elevation changes in Monaco. And still, I'm sticking with what I said.
Okay.
All right. Okay, fine, Noah. Okay.
I'm doing it.
You be you.
All right, Paul.
Okay. This is what I'm going for.
All right, this is about to be crazy. Everybody get ready. Hold on.
It's going to get crazy.
Can't wrap my head around it.
Verstappen.
Yes.
Leclerc.
Whoa.
Perez.
Oh, my God.
Georgie boy.
Mercedes number 1 driver.
Number 1 driver, Mercedes. And just because, and this is all because of last season, I'm going Danny Rick 5.
What?
What do you mean last season?
Because last season he
had
won
a strong
Monaco.
No, that
yeah.
wasn't last season.
Was it not?
No, that was 2018. That was when he was still with Red Bull.
Was it?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at it right now.
Who won last year?
Last year, Max Verstappen won.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
But if you want to, here's the thing: if you want to go with McLaren, Norris finished P3 last year.
Nope, fuck it. I'm still doing Danny Rick.
Okay, ballsy for 1 point.
Yeah, damn,
Yep.
man. All right.
Wow, I thought about it, but then
Why
I remembered.
did I think that he won that last year?
You got old man brain. You can't remember what dates are
Yeah, I
anymore.
guess so.
Yeah,
He did win.
He did
4
win
years.
At
before.
1 point.
Yeah,
At one point, he won.
it was only 4 years
You
ago.
remember that like it
Jesus.
was yesterday.
Right.
Grandpa.
Well, to be fair, he just rewatched that season of Drive to Survive, so it's like it was yesterday.
Yeah, with him wearing a blue suit instead of a
He's
orange.
only been with 2 other teams since then.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, so that's our predictions. Who's our dark horse driver?
wait, did you say dark horse?
Wait, what? Here he comes.
Dark horse driver.
Oh my god,
Oh man, that's scary.
I shit my pants.
Every time it scares me. I don't remember that we do that, and then it comes out of nowhere. Anyhow,
Anyways, who's our dark horse?
I could go first on this one.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
I think it's mother trucking Mick Schumacher.
Okay.
Okay.
I think he had his first Q3, and I think he's just going to keep going up, baby. I think he's going to have a solid race next week. I think he's going to get points, and that makes him my dark horse driver. I think he's going to finish in points next week. Put it on a poster or a stamp or something.
Mail it to Noah's house.
Mail it
His
to my
address
house.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put your bets on it that he gets points, and I'll cover it if you lose.
That's
Okay.
Excuse me, this is a legal disclaimer we had to edit into the podcast. This actually indicates that Noah will not cover any bets that are made about Mick Schumacher during the Monaco Grand Prix in 2022. Thank you. All right, and back to the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll go next. And since I had someone else chosen for this dark horse initially, but now I've kind of painted myself into a corner.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now, instead of my original pick...
Did I paint you into a corner?
No.
No,
I
he
painted
painted
myself
himself,
in
yeah,
big
100%.
time.
I got it.
Big
Yeah.
time. And so...
I think I know who you're referring to now.
Yeah, Kevin Magnuson
Okay, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
was my original dark horse until I painted myself into a corner. So now it has to be Danny Ricciardo.
Now it basically has to be, because if he gets third, what'd you say, third or fourth place?
Fifth.
The fifth.
Fifth.
If he
okay.
gets fifth,
If he gets fifth
it's
place,
not unreasonable.
it's impossible that
It's
he's not dark horse driver.
Oh, right,
If he
right,
gets
right.
fifth.
Yeah.
I think that's fair, and you have to do it.
Oh, I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my dark horse driver. Now, question: do I go directly against my predictions, or do I go with my predictions?
Answer with.
With my predictions, okay. My dark horse driver is Lando Norris. He finished P3 last year.
Hey, Fever Boy.
Yeah, he's gonna come back from hay
He's gonna
fever so
recover.
strong.
He's gonna have stronger muscles.
You know what they say? After you have hay fever, you're as strong as a bale of hay.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and after you have tonsillitis, you're just so happy
You're
after all
strong
that
as
ice
a,
cream.
You're
Well,
strong
all-
as a tonsil.
Yeah.
No, you're all hopped up on all that ice cream.
Yeah, that you're such a happy boy, you drive better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
they
that's
say.
fair. He's gonna have a stronger race next week. 'Cause
Right.
He's not gonna be deathly ill.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, he finished P3 last year, so I mean, he likes the track. I mean, driver. I guess. I don't know. I don't know that the drivers actually even like this track. I feel like it'd be.
They say they like it.
All of them are
I
nerve
think I saw
wracking.
something Friday on Reddit of Verstappen's. That's Verstappen's favorite track, and I'm like, you're a liar.
Yeah. How's it
You're a
possible?
liar.
But yeah, so there you go. Dark horse drivers. Once again, we're not holding ourselves to anything. If we get it wrong, who cares? Except for Noah. We haven't put a disclaimer out, so he has to pay.
Yeah, I may
make
end up paying a lot of money to people unless we find a way to get a legal disclaimer in there somewhere back
Yeah.
in the podcast.
Well, we'll check
past.
with our F1 sidepod lawyer.
attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's our attorney? What's his name, Paul? I can't remember his name.
His name is Frank. It's Paul's ferret.
Yep.
Frank the Ferret.
Yeah.
But they call him Frank the Ferret. We can't. But Cody, come over to the side for a second.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, Cody. We can't say that our lawyer's a ferret, or no one's gonna take us seriously. So we just say that that's his nickname.
Okay. Oh,
And he's an actual lawyer.
yes.
Don't make us look like idiots, Cody.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Frank the Ferret. That's what they call him.
He's
He
not an
is-
actual ferret.
No,
he's a real person.
He's a real ball buster.
Yeah.
He'll bust your balls.
Yeah, but also
legally
his
speaking.
balls got busted a few years ago. That's why he's really high.
Legally
voice.
speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. He's a nut. You don't want to mess with him.
Yeah.
If you're a snake, like illegally, you're a snake. He's a ferret.
Yeah, he'll get you.
He'll
He'll
get you.
get you.
Yep. Anyways, stat of the week.
I actually don't have a stat of the week.
I like numbers. Good thing I do because I like numbers.
Thank God, Cody. I couldn't find anything that just drew my eye.
Well, I mean, you should. He's your favorite driver.
Yeah.
Mick Schumacher got into Q3
I mentioned this earlier.
for the first time ever
That's why he was going to be my
at the
my
track.
warrior.
At the track where I believe his father and Lewis Hamilton are tied for the most victories by a single driver.
Oh,
Now that stat looks way juicier to me, and I don't know why. Even though I said it out loud, that I didn't pick that one.
Yeah.
That's a juicy stat.
So juicy.
it's a pretty good
That's
stat.
such a succulent stat. I'll feast on that for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Can I say a quick stat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Latifi has not made it past Q1. He's the only driver this season that has not made it past Q1. Continue.
That's a good stat too. I won't feast on that one
You
as
know what?
much. It's bones.
I like feasting on it. I think it's
He's going to be so upset that he's going to just run into anybody who tries to lap him next week.
right.
He's been
Just
pretty
so
good
mad.
about that.
Yeah, he's gotten
only been-
better about
he's
staying
gotten-
on track,
He's gotten better.
driving a car that he's paid to do, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so just keep an eye out. He may be our dark horse driver one day.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to affect things, but yeah. Dark horse. Anyways, so yeah, that's stat of the week. That's our predictions. That's Monaco, baby.
Can't wait.
Hopefully,
Here it comes.
hopefully it's a good race. Hopefully, it's not just a processional. And yeah, so I think we're about to get out of here. call this a podcast.
Well, don't forget to follow us on social media.
Follow us on social media at F1side-pod on Twitter.
And leave a review. Paul, what's this week's reviews about? What do we want people writing about us?
Lollipops.
About all the lollipop flavors we remind you of.
Cherry.
We're cherry.
Blueberry.
Write about it.
Yep. And so you can catch us next week after the Monaco Grand Prix. I've been Cody.
And I've been Noah.
And I've been Paul.
See you guys later.